Good morning, Matt Dela Cruz here with the Winning Minds Group, part of the John Maxwell team, and welcome to Mondays with Matt. Happy Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Looking forward to another fantastic week this week as we kick off a new week. Thank you for your thoughts and prayers, all of you, for my safe flight home. Most of you know that I was in Hawaii for 3 months and came back. And it's interesting how we sometimes take the time to reflect and realize that we take things for granted. But I do want to say this, what a blessing I have to be able to do what I do. Not only a chance to live in Hawaii every other year, but also to impact the lives of many. One of my social goals is to give back, and my goal is to be this, to wherever I go, I want to leave the place better than I found it. And by being in Hawaii for 90 days, I can guarantee you that I did leave the place better than I found it, because I had the opportunity and the privilege, and I'm humble when I say this, to be able to add value and pour into thousands of people while I was in Hawaii. And I know it made a difference because I'm receiving the emails now and the testimonies. So thank you for those coming that are sending them to me, and keep them coming, because that's what I live for. You know, back in 1999, I was watching The Hour of Power with Dr. Robert Schur. And it was Crystal Cathedral, Garden Grove, California. But I used to watch his show all the time. But he had a speaker on that day, and that speaker, he impacted me because I wrote it down in 1999. I wrote it down in my journal. I did not write down his name, but here's what he had said. It was this quote: "There's power in the present when there's hope in the future." And the hope in the future are our goals that we set in the future. The present is now, being in the now moment. So, for example, if you were to book your trip to go to Hawaii next year, and let's just say you weren't leaving for 6 months, but when you booked your flights, you booked your hotel accommodations and your rental car, and you hit book, you're excited at the moment. But you're excited at the moment because you took the commitment, made the commitment and the steps necessary to achieve the goal. You haven't departed yet, and you haven't arrived in Hawaii, and you're not leaving for 6 months, but you're excited about that. You're excited about the future. And then, of course, as it gets closer and closer to departure time, you start telling everybody about how many weeks you have left until you leave for Hawaii. And then it's how many days you have left until you leave for Hawaii. Then it's how many hours you have left until you leave to Hawaii. This is how we get. Well, if you put that frame of mind into the proper perspective of how we should think about our goals. And the reason I'm going to bring this up right now is because as we get into the last couple of weeks of September, and we get into the last quarter of 2018, I'm having people email me right now saying, "Matt, I don't think I'm going to hit my goals. You said they need to be realistic. Should I just quit and start all over in 2019? No. You may have to make a couple adjustments. Your goal to arrive at your goal on December 31st, it might not be now till February 28th. It might not be till January 31st. Just make the adjustments on it. You can't just give up, and you can't panic. And one of the things that we were talking about, or our pastor was talking about yesterday in church in Exodus 14, he said, you got to stay focused. Stay focused on the goal. Stay focused on the ball. What's hard to hit is a target that's moving. What's impossible to hit is a target you don't even have. Do you have a target? So let's just kind of put things in perspective, and we have to make sure we do that. Here's the question. If you knew the outcome of the goal, that you would achieve it, would you continue to do everything necessary to achieve the goal? In other words, would you continue to do the daily disciplines that you know you could do every single day if you knew the outcome was going to be, yes, you would achieve it? Of course so. So that's where you have to be, that frame of mind, right? You got to, first of all, you can't be fearful, right? So fear, you can't have fear. You have to make sure you stand firm. Stand firm that you have that goal, right? You also want to make sure that you don't compromise your integrity. You want to make sure that you don't put the self-doubt in your mind, the indecision in your mind, the worry in your mind. People always look at me and they say, "Matt, how do you stay focused on it?" I said, well, I just put it in God's hands. See, when I put it in God's hands and when I know it's God's will, I know He has a purpose for it. Because there is no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as fate. And when you have that type of faith, I'm telling you, man, you don't have to worry about the worries, because it's something a lot bigger that you can never control. But you have to start with planning and setting the goal, staying committed to it, make sure that you desire yet the want, but make sure that you know for sure that what you're doing is for the greater good for other people in the family. That's what I do. So I want you to think about that this week. Make sure your goal's in the proper perspective. Make sure that you still have that vividly imagined, that desire. Make sure you're still committed to it. Put things in the proper perspective. Stand firm. Do not be fearful of it. And put it in God's hands. You watch. Things will change. Not only now, not only for this week, but it'll change for the future. So until next week, live with passion, live intentionally, and let's just make sure that we put things in proper perspective. Thanks so much. Make it a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.